Hi there, I'm Shauna, and today I'm going to bring you along the design journey with me so you can see how I put together a design or a batch of designs that people actually want to buy. Now, arguably, this is the most important skill you need to learn when you're starting your Etsy journey. It could be the difference of having to load your shop with 150 designs versus maybe 1,500 in order to start experiencing success. Hi there, I'm Shauna. I used to be a 4th grade teacher and now I am a 6-figure Etsy seller and was able to quit my 9-to-5. I'm in the top 1% of shops on Etsy, and if I can do it, you could do it too. I've traded in my 4th grade teacher days for now teaching what I've learned on Etsy here on YouTube, and I also run an online community, the Learn and Earn Academy. We're going to jump right into how I landed on the phrase that I'm going to be using, the design style that I'm going to be using, and please don't be too distracted by my mermaid teal hair. I had a sleepover with my nieces and we had a little too much fun. Now, any good design starts with good old-fashioned market research, and it's not hard to do market research. You could do it for free if you want to spend 10-15 minutes every day looking at bestsellers. Do that for, I'd say, 30 to 45 days, and you will start to spot new styles popping up. You can also get yourself Everbee. I like to have Everbee. This is something you download, and it works with Etsy to give you lots of stats on the listings you're looking at. And you could see listings that are just 1 month old. If those listings have bestseller badges, then you know you're looking at some new and upcoming trends that are probably going to be very popular across the many niches. In the Learn and Earn Academy, I also have a trend report available where I expose as many trends as I can spot for the month. All right, so right now we're looking and focusing in on this really cool trend that's super simple with some fancy letters. The font is usually white and it's got these flary, fun, curly, curvy pieces to it. So we see motherhood here. This just recently popped up and it's got the fun curve on the M and it's got the fun curl out there on the H. We've got hard fought hallelujah. You might notice how fancy those H's are. We've got that same style and look over here where it says teaching kids about Jesus. All of these have some fun little funky 4-point stars. So now that we've identified this trend and this style, it's very prevalent in the Christian niche. There's a bunch of motherhood bestsellers that look very similar to each other. And so this style was recently pulled over and has done very well. So the next thing we want to do after we have identified the trend or the aesthetic that we're going to be focusing on, we want to go take it to a niche that maybe it's not being used in so much at the moment, or perhaps use it for a different phrase in a niche that it's doing well in. I usually like to go the route of taking something from one niche and scooting over to another niche that doesn't have that trend yet being infused into it. So today I have pulled this bestseller that says, "Be kind." This phrase we know does really well. Everbee is estimating that it has 51 sales a month. It's had 63,149 views, and this listing is 28 months old. So you could do the math there. 28 months times 51 sales per month would give us an idea of how many times this shirt has sold, and it currently has 20 in the cart. But the last thing you want to do is go recreate this design. First of all, that's not very nice. But secondly, it's not going to work. This shop already has a record with this. They've got ranking with it. They show up in search results way before your new listing would. The only way your listing would compete with this Be Kind listing is if you are infusing a new trend and it looks different and is something that people want to buy. Now, we know that the trend we're looking at is an aesthetic that people want to buy. The proof is in those other bestsellers I showed you. And there's no Be Kind shirts that are using this aesthetic. So this would be a great stab for us to take to stand out in the market. Now, before we get too excited about our phrase and the awesome design we're going to make, you need to be in the practice of jumping over to uspto.gov to make sure that your phrase is safe to use. And this is always evolving and changing. Someone can trademark a phrase. When you made the design, maybe it wasn't trademarked, or maybe the last time you checked that particular phrase you wanted to use was trademarked and now it's not. So it's kind of something you want to keep your eye on. I like to avoid writing that exact phrase in my SEO if I think it's going to get trademarked in the future. I do think that Be Kind was trademarked in the past, if I remember correctly. But when we check uspto.gov, you can see here I'm doing I've clicked expert over here. I've written Be Kind in the search bar. I'm searching through live and I've unclicked the dead ones. I don't need the dead ones. I have 025 trademark clicked on here, and I don't see Be Kind here. So it looks like we're okay with Be Kind, but always, always, always do your own search of this. In the future, if you decided to be kind, do a double check. We're going to jump on Kittl to create our next bestseller. I do have a link to Kittl down below if you'd like to check them out, or you could just Google them. Once we're in Kittl here, we're going to open ourselves a new project. Over to the right-hand corner, you'll find New Project. And this makes it super easy if you go over to Print on Demand tab here, and we can actually go down and we can select Printify. It's a print shop I often use to fulfill my orders, and it already has presets here for our size. It has a 300 DPI, makes it super easy. We actually have other items that we could select from, but we are going to go with shirts today, so that's what I've selected for us. But super easy presets. We're going to click Create, and now we're in Kittl, and we have our blank canvas here. Next, we want to add headline up here to the top left. This way we can get some text on our artboard. I like to blow it up a bit so I can see what I'm working with. It usually comes in kind of tiny right at the beginning. Here we have our text menu over here. If you don't have your text menu, it's because you don't have your text selected. When I select the headline text here, then my menu comes back up. So if you can't find your menu and you can't find your text styles, that's why. Try making sure you've selected your text box. Next, we want to choose our font, and I actually chose a font over in Creative Fabrica. It's called Picky Retro. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to go check it out over in Creative Fabrica. Creative Fabrica is a site that I often use to download fonts that will help me achieve the looks that I want to achieve, like we're doing today, or graphics that I want to use within my design. Super simple on Creative Fabrica side. We just click the download button. Now over in Kittl, I'm going to show you how to upload that font into Kittl, and then it'll be there all the time whenever we want to use it. This font does have some of those really cool letters there you might see, like in retro with the R that has that really nice curve to it. But when you upload a font like that, you get the basic letter sets, and to get those really fun, funky letters or extra little bits that are shown maybe with the font, you have to do something a little extra special. So it's not difficult at all, but it can be frustrating when you're looking for that like extra pretty letter and you're like, well, wait a second, it's not here. Why can't I find that extra pretty letter? I'll show you how to find those extra pretty letters. In Kittl, we're going to go into our fonts and we're going to go upload font here at the bottom. We get this little warning where it says we recommend uploading a style of a font family all at once. It is not possible to add more files to a font family or change single files later on, but of course you can always start over. So after reading that message, there are two fonts that basically came with this font, two font files. So one called Italic and one just called Picky Retro. And after reading that little blurb, I was like, oh no, I need to make sure I download them both at the same time. In the past, I never really guess I paid attention to this blurb that came up. I just like clicked the buttons quickly, but because I'm making a YouTube video, I wanted to make sure I paid attention to everything so I could like tell it to you completely the right way. So I'm going to tell you what happened, and I edited this together, just easier to watch. But in case this happens to you, I don't need to be like, oh my gosh, now what? I pulled both of the fonts. I tried to download them both at once because it sounded like from that little blurb we read that you needed to do that. Only one of them downloaded, and I had to go back and download the other one, and everything was just fine. I'm able to get to both styles of the letters, and it's all good. From here, you want to find downloads. That's where they are. So we're going to go into Picky Retro, and then you can see here, this is what I was talking about. There's both files here. So I added the first one, Picky Retro, Italic, and then instead of uploading to library, I wanted to go add the other font styles. So I went ahead and picked the Picky Retro. And now that I have both of them attached here, I'm going to upload to library. Now, I edited this next bit out, but I actually had to go do that separately again. So no worries if that happens. So now they're both here, and I can kind of go back and forth between which ones I want. And I just want to put the alphabet here so I can see the whole alphabet set. All right, now we're looking at our letter sets, and we can see that we don't really have any of those really cool loopy types of letters with that extra flair, which is pretty important when pulling off this look that we're trying to pull off today. So now let's go take a look at those special characters. You might have heard them referenced as glyphs. If you're on a Mac, we're going to be going into the font book, which I am. I'm on a Mac. And then if you're on a PC, you're going to need to go into character map. I think you'll get to it pretty much the same way that I'm going to get into font book. So let's jump back in and I'll show you. The first thing you need to do is to open that downloads folder that you received when you downloaded from Creative Fabrica. You can go up into your little downloads icon and re-click on it if you like, but you just want to open that up so that you see those two fonts that we had. I have my downloads folder open where we downloaded those two fonts there. And now I'm just going to double click on one of them and I'm going to skip. We're just going to press skip here, which is going to bring us directly into the font book, or it should bring you into character map if you're on something other than a Mac. And you're going to want to scroll all the way to the bottom, and then you could take a nice look at what you're working with here. And we've got some pretty cool letters here. So we're just going to press the little copy button and we bring it on over. So let's do that again. Here's the C. I'm going to press copy. I'm going to paste it over here. And then if I just start typing, I'll just pull the regular letters. I'm in that second set there that is shown above. This is a pretty cool one, D. And then if I keep typing, it's just the regular letter set. And so here we go with a T with a kind of a fancy T. You can do this. All right, so for the sake of your time, I am going to go ahead and kind of walk you through this, but just know that I have this fast forwarded. I'm moving 8 times faster than I actually did. So don't feel frustrated if you're not moving as fast as I seem to be. I didn't move this fast either. So I'm going to put the word B here and I'm going to capitalize it because I'm noticing in all of our research that these designs are all caps. So I'm going to stick with that. I want to do this special B. So I'm going to go back into the text box, delete the B and paste in our new B. Remember, I go over into the font finder, copy it, and then I can do Command V to paste it right in. I'm going to do a separate text box. FYI, there's a shortcut. You could just touch the T key on your computer and you'll get a quick text box. We need to make sure we put our word kind to retro picky, and then I'm going to go take our K. I'm like super excited about our K. I think it looks super fun with that nice curl at the end. And then I might put the K in its own text box. I'm thinking I want it larger. So I've got another text box here. Again, I just pressed the T key to get myself a quick one. And it wasn't working for me here. I was getting annoyed. You see this box with the X in. Then I realized the problem is I don't have retro picky picked out. So once you pick your font, in this case retro picky, we will actually be able to copy and paste our special character in there. So if you bump into that problem, that's what it is. Just make sure you choose your font and apply it to your text box and then copy in your special character. All right, so now we've got the word kind and I have K as a separate letter. I am loving it. So I'm super excited. I think that curly K down there at the end totally makes it. So I had a little bit of a hard time choosing where I wanted the B to be. Here I'm just looking at the other designs in this style to see if I get any ideas of how I could lay my word out. It didn't really help me bunches. But that's okay. Just kept kind of playing around with our word. And I think I got it to a place where I really kind of liked it, which is, we're right about there. So notice that all of these designs have these little 4-point stars. A lot of them have other text that's just kind of plain or in cursive. We don't have more text, but if we did, we could kind of follow that lead there. We do want some 4-point stars on here, that like retro star. I went ahead and downloaded some stars that I liked from Creative Fabrica. So after I dropped the first one into my project, I was ready to just copy and paste and kind of sprinkle them around a little bit. I was really looking at the listings there I have over to the right for inspiration here. I have a tendency to want to draw probably more than what is in most of the designs. So I kept referring back to the bestsellers so I could make sure I was really taking my cue from how they did it. If you feel like you're doing something like this wrong, don't worry. Even this far into the game, I sit here and I'll think, oh gosh, am I putting too many But the best thing we can do to ourselves or for ourselves is to just make a choice and keep moving. So give yourself a time limit. Don't spend 10 minutes figuring out where you're going to put your little stars. Decide and just keep moving. Now for the fun part, we can take our design over to Printify and we can place it on a shirt and see what it looks like. So I'm going into the catalog and I'm going to click on t-shirts. I clicked on that under women's, and here I'm going to go into comfort colors. These are unisex, so you'd find them in men's or women's. And now I'm going to go through and choose our colors. Pepper is a really popular comfort colors t-shirt, and there's tons to choose from. I'll go ahead and for the purpose of our tutorial today, I'll grab butter, violet, and espresso. Now I dragged and dropped our design right on top. I like to blow it up completely from left to right, and then I like to place it pretty much near the top of my design box here. That white outline, that dotted box, you want to stay inside that so that you know you're inside the printable area. Now when we hit our green button here, and we could check out right there at the top our different little tabs with our mock-ups, so we could just kind of see what everything looks like. Now these are not the mock-ups I would use when I take this over to Etsy and I publish my design. I would be getting nice mock-ups. I usually purchase mine from Etsy. If you're going to try up this design trend and a niche that you like to design in, go down into the comments and give us a little fire emoji. On your way down there, don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss future videos like this, and hit the like button so I know that you're enjoying this content. If you want to keep making designs that people actually want to buy, then come design with me in this video where I give you another trend. But of course, not until after, well, that tip from Tucker. Tucker, take it away!